Hey everyone, last week we talked about how to choose your word of the year, and today I'm going to give you some time-tested by me ways to put your word into effect for the upcoming year. I'm Angela and welcome to my channel, Befriend and Tend. I create videos on how to lead a more intentional, authentic, and joy-filled life. So now that you have your word of the year, how do you actually implement it? Well, there's three quick strategies that I'm going to share with you that will get you on your way. The first step is to plant your word of the year in your mind. So how do you do that? I kick this off by doing a little bit of a word study. I will pull out my dictionary and my thesaurus and use Google, and I will just look up the origin of the word and write down all the synonyms and just really come to a good understanding of the word. And it usually gives me a lot of ideas for how I might apply the word in the upcoming year. After you've done your word analysis, then you want to take your wheel of life. I have one that I use from my book, Befriend and Tend, but feel free to use any wheel of life that you prefer, or you can just come up with a list of a couple of areas in your life that you want to keep tabs on. And then you're going to go down each one of these areas and think about whether your word applies and what that might look like if you were really living out that word. And now that you have your word analysis and your list, you want to make sure that you regularly nurture the word and review it so that you keep it top of mind so you don't forget. One of the easiest and quickest ways to do this is to change the password on your laptop or on your computer so that it reflects your word. Maybe it's a quick quote or it's an affirmation, but just putting that into your password and then you have to type it in every day is a really good way to keep it top of mind. There are ways to create this password without sacrificing security. You can add some characters and some numbers. And something I'm doing this year, which I didn't do last year, but I found some designers on Etsy who will stamp your word of the year on a piece of jewelry. And I think that's brilliant. So I picked up these items from this Etsy store. I haven't received them yet, so I can't speak to the quality. You can also use your word of the year in a vision board and keep that in a prominent place. And then depending on what your word of the year is, you might be able to get, word art like this. I have a bunch of these things around my computer and workspace. I don't actually have one for my word of the year, but if evolve was your word of the year, this would be great, right? Another thing I did last year is I created a Dropbox folder where I tucked all of the articles and the pretty graphics and things that I came across on Instagram relating to my word. The strategies and ideas that other people have about my word of the year were really helpful. It was nice to have a little resource file for those. The third step is to use your word of the year, especially when you're making decisions and choices. You can just pause for a moment as you're weighing the pros and cons and think to yourself, is my word relevant? And if it is, then you have something else to add to the scale as you're weighing the options between pro and con and trying to make a decision. I was able to do that with my Christmas decorations this year because my word of the year is release, as in release stress, release anxiety, release old mindsets, but it also refers to releasing physical things, which is really hard for me because I'm the sentimental pack rat. I was able to apply the word release to my Christmas decorations. I love decorating for the holidays, and over the years I've accumulated and been given lots of decorations, and they all have sentimental meaning and I'm attached to them, but I have way too much. There are so many things that I haven't used in decades, but I could not part with. And with the word release, I was finally able to put a lot of those things into a donation pile. You can also use your word of the year when you're planning out your week. As you sit down and map out your schedule, you can pull out that list of ideas and just reflect on whether there's anything that's happening in the week or any way that you might do something on the list to, make progress on your word. I hope I gave you some actionable ideas for making your word of the year count. Let me know in the comments what you're planning to do. And if you enjoyed this video, give me some encouragement and hit the like button. See you next week.